beautiful people. The day is here. The very first, the epic and legendary podcast. Guys, I'm so excited. This has been a long time coming. And I just can't tell you how thrilled I am about today's episode and our first guest. This podcast is about ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And let me tell you, this first guest we have on the show has done some pretty extraordinary things. And I have a feeling she's just getting started. This story, I promise you're going to want to hear. There's some incredible lessons along the way. So make sure all those distractions are out of the way. Download this on your favorite podcast application or watch the full video right on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to our channel as well. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our first guest. She is an amazing entrepreneur. She does social media. She coaches. She does real estate. She's a restaurant entrepreneur. She is a business person inside and out, always creative, always looking for a different way to go out and be successful and create success and greatness for herself. So without further ado, let's just jump into the conversation with the one, the only, Miss Mallory Mundy. Well, welcome everybody to the Epic and Legendary Podcast, episode 1. I'm so excited today. I'm joined by someone who I've known for a very long time, and I've gotten to watch her grow throughout her career. And what an honor that's been. And I'm so excited she's able to join us today and tell us about her story. This is Mallory Mundy, and Mallory has does a lot of different things. I won't give the whole breakdown just yet. We'll let her tell her story. But Mallory, thanks for being here and being on the first episode of the Epic and Legendary Podcast.
My gosh, what an honor it is to be here. I'm super excited. Jonathan, I've just admired you for a very long time. So it is a complete honor to be on this podcast and be the first guest. So I'm excited to dive in and see what you have for me today.
I really appreciate that. So yeah, let's not waste any time because I want to get to the good stuff in this podcast. This podcast is about ordinary people who do extraordinary things, and ordinary is not a bad thing. My mom always used to say that what's the fun in being normal? So when I say ordinary, I don't mean normal. I just mean that you're an everyday person. You weren't born a superhero like Superman, right? With kryptonite and all that good stuff, right? You've come up through the ranks. You've worked hard for what you have. And that's what this podcast is about. So I want to tell that story. So before we get into some of the successes and wins that you've had in your career, let's talk about Mallory as a child. What was it like growing up for you, Mallory? Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I was very blessed to have an amazing grandfather. My grandfather was someone that was always there for me. And he always told me, Mallory, if you start something, you do it right the first time so you don't have to do it again, right? And so he would always help me with my homework, and he instilled these lessons along the way as a kid. And I've always, as I go through my career and my journey, I always hear his voice in the back of my head. So I was very lucky to have an amazing grandfather. And then when I was in 6th grade, I moved in with my dad. And so I am a daddy's girl. My dad has been my best friend my entire life. He's still my best friend. He lives with me down here in far west Texas. And I've just been very lucky to be around somebody who has supported me 110% in every endeavor and everything that I do. I always know that my dad has my back. So I was an ambitious little kid. I used to swim. I was a full-time swimmer. I almost made the 2008 Olympic cutoff for backstroke. So I was very competitive. I'm still very competitive. So I had a really great childhood in that sense. I had structure. I had people around me that poured into me every chance they could. And, I'm really grateful for all the lessons that I learned throughout my childhood,
Yeah, and family is so important, isn't it? I mean, we learn so many lessons from those that raise us, and it sounds like you were very fortunate to have a lot of those lessons in your life. Any of those that have really stuck to you throughout your life that you can say really stood out and really kind of motivated you later in your career? Anything that you can think of specifically? I hate to put you on the spot there, but
Yeah, I look back to my swimming days, and swimming was my out, and I didn't have an easy childhood. And it's I had a really rough time with my mom, and I lived with her for majority of my life until I moved in with my dad. And swimming was a out for me. It was something that brought me peace, but it also gave me, ambition and something to look forward to and to work really hard for. And so I always look back at my time at swimming because that wasn't easy. I swam twice a day, morning and night. Hours were put in, and I was going to go swim as hard as I could and maybe go to the Olympics, maybe go to college. And a lot of that pressure got to me. and I ended up giving up swimming. And that was something in my life that was monumental for me because you have to want something. You have to want it really, really bad. And you have to know it's right for you. And I look back at those days, I don't regret quitting swimming, but I regret a lot of the actions that I put towards it at the very end, because it made me not like the sport anymore or the people around me. I resented it. And so when I get into something or I start a business or I get into a project, I have to know 100% certain that I'm in it 110%. And that's how I run my life now. And that little time in my life was the biggest building block for me as an adult now.
It's funny you say that. So sports obviously massive, right? And if we look
Yeah.
at especially collegiate level athletes and the amount of energy and the lessons they learn and the discipline, because I think you'll agree with me as you get more into your story and your career, discipline and consistency are the number one key to success. Like we
Yeah.
have to be disciplined in every single thing that we do. And it's so amazing that sports teaches that. For me, it was music. I was a band nerd. I was never really an athlete. That just wasn't my thing. But music was the same thing. It took a lot of discipline, and so what a great lesson that is, that you got to experience early with swimming. Who knows? Maybe it's time to get back in the pool, Mallory. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
And I still love it. I still love it. But I think that grit that I had as a kid, that's just, it lives in me. I love the hustle. I love the grit and everything. I love the practice, going in there and doing your reps. And it's the boring stuff that makes you successful, right?
yeah,
Uh, but I have to be 110% in or I'm 110% out. And
yeah.
that lesson for me.
I love the practice. I love that quote. I'm going to steal that one from you. I love the practice. Oh my gosh, that's such a good one. Cool. Well, tell us. So we were swimming when we were younger. We were starting to move into adulthood, I guess, young adulthood. Tell us a little bit about that transition into the adult life and what that was like.
Yeah, so I graduated, so I'm about to be 35. I graduated high school 2009, and we all know what time that was in the economy. So I graduate high school, I was going to go to fashion school down in Miami. That was the plan, be a fashion designer and get into that world. I'm also 6 feet tall, you can't tell, but I wanted to go model and I wanted to be in the fashion industry.
Mhm.
So when I graduated high school, we didn't have money to put me through school. And so I moved down there. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know a single soul but my aunt who lived down there. And God bless that woman. She was the most amazing human being. And I got to know her later on in life. And get down to South Florida and I realized, okay, it's not about what I'm going to do. It's about who do I know? Who can I meet? What hands can I shake to get me to where I want to be? And that's where I learned how to network like a beast. And I would go down there, I'd meet people, and then I'd become friends with these people. They'd introduce me to other people. Then I started modeling. I wanted to go to the fashion school so bad, and I ended up teaching classes at this school. I would come in as a model and I would teach them how to, photograph. I would talk about the fashion and all of this stuff. And it was kind of a God thing for me. I didn't need to go spend this money. I was going to take these classes for free while teaching them, my ins and outs of what we get to experience on that side. So did that for a long time. And then I decided I wanted to go to school. I really wanted to take school seriously. So I packed my bags and I moved to New Orleans on a whim. All by myself. I had friends from New Orleans from the Katrina days when they moved to Pensacola, where I grew up. And I put myself through school while bartending and serving tables at this little bar in the warehouse district called Lucy's. If anyone's familiar with New Orleans, they probably know Lucy's. And I learned a lot about life and a lot about business in this place. I learned how to make money and I learned how to make it fast. And I learned how to invest it in things that I needed, like school. I would go to the registrar's office with cash in my bag and figure out how to pay for these classes. Met my husband there too, and that's a great story. But yeah, I waited tables and I bartended. I wanted to be the bartender and I had to start as a server. Then I had to be a cocktail waitress and then I moved to bartending and then I got to manage a little bit at this bar. So I worked my way up and I learned, grit, more grit, and I learned how to be successful in this arena. I met all types of people from famous actors to Saints players to big business people. I took every conversation, and I learned a lot from everyone that I met there.
So there's a whole lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
First thing I want to say is, the modeling world. I can't
Mhm.
imagine that being an easy business whatsoever. You talk about learning grit. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine that world and what that was like. Tell us a little bit about, so you did all these things, but and you did them because you wanted to better yourself. What was the underlying motivation behind that besides just wanting to go to school? What was it that made you, what was it that clicked that said, hey, I need to go out, I need to learn how to network, I need to surround myself with these people, I need to work hard, I need to be consistent. What was it inside of you internally that said, hey, Mallory, get on the ball, let's get this going? Was there something specific to that?
Well, I didn't have the resources like everyone else did, right? I graduated with kids that were, going off to college, going to join sororities and fraternities, and their parents were footing the bill, and I just wasn't, and we weren't able to do that at that time. And it's no fault to anybody, the economy crashed, we were in a really bad position, and I wasn't going to wait for anybody. I'm not a waiter. I am just a person that goes out there and grabs life as I can.
Mhm.
I am very, very scared. My biggest fear in life is being the same person I am today, tomorrow, and a year from
Mm.
now, 5 years from now. And so I want to be better than I was yesterday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be average.
Absolutely.
You
Well, it's
know?
funny you say that. So, my favorite saying is it is what it is, right? And I heard that on a podcast one time. It was TD Jakes actually. He was on a podcast with Tony Robbins and he said, him and Tony were talking and they said, TJ Jakes says he says, who the most dangerous person in the world is? And Tony Robbins knows everything. So I figured he would just know the answer, but he didn't. He goes, "What is it?" And TD Jakes he goes, "It's a person who says it is what it is because they don't care anymore. They don't care about outside circumstances. They don't care where they come from. They don't care what people think about them. They don't care who's in their corner and who's not. They're determined to go out there and be the best version of themselves, regardless of all of that stuff. And what a powerful quote that is. So as you went into modeling and you went into the restaurant there in New Orleans, obviously some things started to come together. All of these networking skills, all of this desire to want to be better and improve your outside circumstances to who you are today. What was that emotionally like? How did that change your life? Like, what did it do to you that kept you going and wanting to get to the next level?
Yeah, yeah. So I was in this restaurant industry, and it's ironic because I know we'll get to what I'm doing today. Um, but I wanted out. I didn't want to wait tables. I didn't want to bartend forever. And it's not, I don't think down on those positions. It's just something I didn't want to do. And so, every day I would pray to God, give me a purpose, give me a purpose. I'm ready, show me what you need me to do. And so I met my husband, or my now husband, at Lucy's, and we worked together, and we ended up getting married in 2015. And he's the most amazing person in my life. And he has always been a cheerleader for me, but he is the one that will bring me back down to earth and be like, let's think this through, which I definitely need.
Yeah.
And we decided that the industry in itself in New Orleans, because we were there all night long, early mornings, and bartending, making great money, but it wasn't great for a relationship. And so my husband went back to his old sales job, which brought us to Texas. And when I went to Austin for the first time, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to work in the bars again, and try to figure this out. And
Yeah.
one conversation between my husband and I led to my entire life now. It's, why don't you get started in real estate? You would be great at it. And I said, well, I never really thought about it. And he said, I think you really need to think this one through because I think you would be fantastic in real estate. So I started looking up the classes and everything it entails. And I said, I think I could do this. I really do. So I started real estate classes through Kaplan University. And I did that while I was bartending and going to school. And that changed my life. It did.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great place for us to take our first break.
Yeah.
When we come back, though, I want to talk. You mentioned faith in the universe, and I want to have that conversation because that's such an important, powerful conversation. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Guys, you've been listening to the first episode ever of the Epic and Legendary Podcast. Guys, we're so glad you're listening. We hope that you'll download this on all your favorite podcast platforms. And if you want to see the full video, obviously our YouTube channel will have it up in full there. Guys, I am so excited about this podcast. It's been a work in progress for a very, very long time. We're now accepting sponsorship. So if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, we'd love to have you on board, your brand. We'll give you some advertising opportunities as well as some time to be in front of the camera and tell everybody exactly what it is that you do. So if you're living that epic and legendary lifestyle and you have a business you'd like to promote, get in touch with me today. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, we're looking for people with powerful stories and testimony about success and struggles and vulnerability. We'd love to chat with you. So if you're interested in being the show, email me as well, and we'll be in contact soon. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this. I can't tell you what a dream come true it is for me to be able to do this. It's been a long time coming, and I'm so excited about it. We've got some incredible shows with some incredible guests that are coming up with some amazing stories. So stay tuned for that. But until then, let's get back to the show. All right, and welcome back. We're with Mallory Mundy today, and we've been talking about this amazing journey that she's had, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. And you know, it's funny, you don't have to do everything extraordinary, but if you do just one thing and you do it extraordinarily well, you can be successful in life. And that's what the epic and legendary lifestyle is all about. And so I'm so glad that you're here sharing with us, Mallory. You know, before we went to break, you were talking about, I think we were at the point in your story where, you know, you and your husband made some decisions, moved to Austin. Real estate seemed to be a good solution for you, and you started taking classes. But before we get into the next part of the timeline, I want to go back and touch on something, because I get this question a lot, especially when I'm coaching agents, and it comes up quite often, and that's faith. You know, faith is such a foundational thing, and it means so much to, or so many different things, or different things to different people, I guess is how to say it. You know, some people believe that it's a higher being or God or the universe or whatever, and it doesn't really matter what that is, but I think it's really important that you have faith. So would you mind just maybe sharing just real briefly what that means to you, and how you utilize that and depend on it and rely on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in the church. I grew up in a Methodist church, and, I did the things, and our family went to church every Sunday and went to Sunday school. And I went on a mission trip my senior year of high school. And we went to a little place called Reynosa, Mexico. And ironically, I'm not too far away from now, but it was an experience that rocked my world. I didn't realize how blessed I was to live in the home I lived in, to go to the school I went to have my friends and my family and food on the table. And I remember going there for a week, and I knew my mission, there was to help as many people as I could. And we built a house, and we built it out of concrete blocks. And that little house was a mansion to this one woman. And I will never forget the look on her face when she saw it. And we had to pack up and leave, and I would not leave. I would not budge. I did not want to leave. I did not want to go home. I wanted to be with these people because I felt like they were my people. It was the most amazing experience I've ever been through. And that changed it all for me. So I'm very, very spiritual. I believe in a higher power, and that higher power in faith has got me through so many situations in my life where I look to my faith to get me through, and that sometimes it's the only thing you do have, right?
Absolutely.
And it is the most powerful thing that you have. And so, every day I thank God, for my life, and I thank him as many times as I can a day, because I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful. But faith is what got me through
It
most
really
of.
is. It really is. And I, you know, I'm a firm believer in the universe,
Hmm.
and a higher being as well. But you know, the universe provides not only opportunity to serve others, but opportunities to serve ourselves. And you know, you don't always create those opportunities. Sometimes they're presented to you, and it's how you take action, and advantage, or I say advantage, that's probably not the correct way to say it, but take that opportunity and run with it. And so, you know, faith, I agree with you 100%. It's such a huge baseline for everything. And if you go talk to anybody that's successful out there, and you know, whether they're CEOs or entrepreneurs or owners of companies or whatever, and you ask them, they'll tell you straight up, faith is a huge part of every single thing that they do every single day. And so, what a powerful lesson that is. Thank you for sharing that. So we were on our journey. We're in Austin. we've decided to take some real estate classes. Funny story. When I got my license in '05, I did the same thing. It was Kaplan and it was
Exactly.
online. What a wonderful opportunity that was. Couldn't be more grateful for it being online. Actually, I didn't even do it online. I don't know about you. I just got the books and read the books and then took the test.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we're in Austin. We're gonna get our real estate license. So let's pick up the story there.
Yeah, so I get my real estate license. So I just made 9 years, so I'm going on 10 years, and got my license. And I went to an interview with my company I'm still with today. And I met this woman named Melanie Kinnaman. And if you guys are connected to Austin, you know who Melanie Kinnaman is. And I talked to her about real estate and I fell in love with this person. She's amazing. And we talked all about our future and real estate in Austin and the opportunity. And we saw $200,000 homes in Austin back then, and it was rolling and it was exciting. And so I got on boots on the ground, started selling real estate, and then I realized I really love the brokerage side of things. Like I want to do what Melanie's doing. I want to help people build businesses.
Yeah.
So I found my way. I started with a home warranty company and I started networking and meeting as many agents as I could, going to all the different brokerages. And that is where everything changed for me. I got to see the inside of everyone's businesses. I got to help people. I got to meet title. I got to meet mortgage and really be in the industry. And I was in the midst of it, selling home warranty. And I got a phone call one day, and this kind of just started my career as what I do now in real estate, from a friend of mine who worked at a different brokerage who was a president. And he said, Mallory, I think you need to come over here and I think you need to help us grow as a business development rep. You already know everybody. Come on over. You get to sit next to the CEO every day. You get to really learn. And I said, that sounds amazing. I can't take a lateral move, but if it works, let's do it. And we had a conversation and I knew I was meant to do this. And so I changed companies and I started with this company that I used to be with, and I learned how to grow with agents. I got to go do presentations, sell the brokerage. I get to help people onboard, train, and it was so exciting because everyone getting into this business is excited about their new business. They're excited about real estate for all different reasons. And if you're good in real estate and you know how to build a business, real estate awards so much freedom in your life and you get to make really cool decisions because
Yeah.
of what you do in real estate. And that is what excites me still to
Absolutely.
this day because it changed my life.
Yeah.
And so we grew a lot that year. And then I decided to branch off and do my own thing. And I was the number one recruiter for this company and absolutely loved it. And then I'm going to take a little short stint out of Austin, where my husband got a job opportunity back in Mississippi in Hattiesburg. So we went to Hattiesburg, and I was still with this company. I was remote and growing like crazy. And I met somebody who changed my life with an opportunity. And I went back to the company that I'm with now, Keller Williams. And I was a team leader in Hattiesburg. We built an office there, started one. It was one of the fastest growing KW offices of their size. And that's when I got a call to come back to Austin and help lead the flagship. So I was a team leader at Keller Williams Southwest Market Center in Austin. And I started that in 2020.
Yeah, yeah.
COVID.
So let's pause the timeline a bit. I
Uh-huh.
want to go back and talk just a bit about something. And obviously, we want to share some lessons that you've learned as well. I want to talk about networking real quick because I can tell throughout our conversation in your entire career, networking has been a huge key to your success. You and I actually met with a networking group, the local YPN here in Central Texas,
Yeah.
professional network called AREP, or Austin Young Real Estate Professionals. And I always find it funny when I go to those, and especially that I'm older now, is watching the young kids come in, their hands in their pockets, and they don't really talk a lot. Give me some advice for anybody that's out there and how to network, especially if you're in a social setting like that or a public place. What are some of the things that you do? How do you approach people? Maybe some of the things you say. I will say this, and before you start, is that smiling increases your
Uh-huh.
face value, and you do that extremely well. So I know that's a huge part of
Yeah.
it, but maybe give us some advice for anybody that's out there. How do you handle yourself in networking type events?
Yeah. I think if anyone is in any type of sales role, anything, treat networking like your job.
Hmm.
And you can attest to this, when I would go to these events, I don't drink anymore, but I did back then. I did not drink at these events. I went in with a mission, and it's how many people can I meet? How many phone numbers can I get? How many people can I start building relationships? And then how do I, build on the relationships I already have with these people that I already know? And so that was my mission every time I went into these networking events.
Hmm.
When I'd walk into the office, any office, I want to know as many people as I can. Who's new? Who haven't I met yet? And I kept all of this in a CRM, and I would go in there and I would follow up with people. I'd add them on social media. And social media was a big part of my success too, is because I was everywhere. I would post, I would take pictures, I would, check in to make sure that people knew was at these events. And that was the biggest part of my success, is the networking, is who do you know? And a lot of that people who are ready to give you an opportunity too.
Hmm.
And so when you go into these events and you're brand new, and I remember baby Mallory walking into these events kind of nervous, just get to know as many people as you can, because a lot of those people are amazing people, and they're going to take you under their wing, and they're going to show you
Hmm.
exactly what to do. And that is how you learn. And that's how you skip multiple steps in this business, right? It's who you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you go to these events, are you handing out business cards? Are you collecting them? What's your
Oh, give me your phone number. I don't want a business card.
just give me your
Let me
number.
add you on
Text me.
social
Give me your
media. I'm going to
digits.
know your kids' names. I'm going to know your husband's name by the end of the night.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my stalking, and I'm going to find a common
Yeah.
connection, because I
Absolutely.
want to. I'm a people lover. I love people. I love the patterns in people. I love, learning what people will do next, right? And how they conduct business. I'm a lifelong learner, but I'm a lover of human beings. Always have
And
been.
that all goes back to that whole consistency and so it's funny because I look at networking as an opportunity to meet new people, but in all reality, just like you said, you have to treat it like a job, right? Yeah, it's fun, it's social, you get to meet new people, and it's a great experience, but it is a job. And follow up, you mentioned follow up, and I tell agents all the time, if they want to be successful in anything they do, follow up is the game, and you have to be consistent in following up. Tell us about your follow up process. You mentioned a little bit of it with social media and that. Did you have like a certain system, or did you kind of judge it based on who the person was and what your connection was with them? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I always have a CRM. I've got multiple CRMs now because I'm in different businesses. And then I also have a spreadsheet. So on top of I'm a type A human being. So I don't want to say my way is the right way. It's just my chaotic system works for me. And so I have, a spreadsheet with people that I need to reach out to, who I've reached out, when's the last time I spoke with them. And, follow up is the secret sauce. That's how you win, right? You've got to follow up over and over again. You're going to sell a product, you got to post this product a minimum of 10 times before anyone's going to even think about buying. You're going to sell a company, you're going to have to follow up with multiple times with information and talk to them and see where they are. But you have to find out where this person, or anyone in particular, where they are in life, right? You've got to figure out where they are in that decision-making process, or in their jobs, or if they're going to change roles. You've got to figure out where they are and meet them there, right?
Hmm.
That's a lot of the things you'll discover when you are networking and you are following up and having conversations. Don't think one time is going to do anything for you, because it's not. You have to follow up, and that's where the secret is.
Absolutely. And you said treat it like a job, and it is a job, but you also get the added benefit of the human effect, right? And building relationships and rapport with these people. And I don't know about you, but I've networked with people just like you, right? For instance, this is how our friendship came about,
Yeah,
that have ended up being lifelong friends, and people that I trust in business, and people that I trust with my life in a lot of ways. And you care about their success, and in time they end up caring about your success as well. And then the next thing you know, we're all sitting around with winners, and guess what? The conversation's different at that table,
different.
right?
Yeah.
And so how powerful is networking? So follow up, obviously being consistent, very, very important. It led you to a lot of the success that you had had in your life up until this point.
Mhm.
And then also too, the last thing I want to touch on before we get back to the timeline is you've mentioned that you've met somebody special or somebody important that's really encouraged you. And I highly like super, I can't even think of the word because I don't have it in me. Believe in mentors and people that come into our life for a reason. I always say that life happens to you, not for you. And when it happens to you, the people that are supposed to be in your life are there. And when you want to be successful, when you want to grow, and you want to be better, you surround yourself with more of those people. Give me just your thoughts on that because I know you probably feel the same way and how important that is to you and what a big difference that's probably, or I know has made in your career and in your life.
Yeah, yeah. And I always tell people I don't need another friend. I've got the best friends in the world. And of course, I obviously want to meet amazing people. I'm just so grateful for my circle. And I look back at it and I created this circle with the people that I wanted to be around, right? The people that are doing really big things. And I always went into it as someone who was younger and new to the business is I'm never going to waste anybody's time. I don't want to. I'm going to be prepared before I go into a conversation. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to, when I ask someone for their time, I'm taking it seriously, right? I would never go to Gary Keller of Keller Williams and never have read his book, right? You've got to do your preparation and when you ask for this time and someone gives it to you, you've got to take it for what it's
Yeah.
worth. You've got to take every minute and you've got to soak it in and learn because these people are busy, right? And I've been very lucky to be around people that have poured into me my entire life. I had Scott Tolar, he's a MAPS coach with Keller Williams. He poured into me for years when I was a baby team leader and telling me what I need to do, how I need to do it, and practicing with me. So I knew exactly what to expect out of this role and how to be the best I could for our agents, right? I have a mentor right now in the network marketing aspect of my life, and she's phenomenal and pours into me, checks in on me, and she knows when I call her, I'm not wasting your time. I need help, give me a
Yeah.
little pep talk.
Yeah.
There's just people out there that are willing to put in the time for you. Just take it and run with it and, always be appreciative.
Absolutely. And then in time, you turn into that person. And the next
Mhm.
thing you know, you have people looking to you.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about those who have clicked and understand success in life is that it's not just about having success for yourself, it's about sharing that success with other people and then encouraging them to be successful as well. And that's part of the epic and legendary lifestyle as well.
Yeah.
So, what a great time. We're going to continue the journey here in just a second because I want to know more about the Southwest Market Center and here in Keller Williams and all that good stuff. And we're going to continue the journey because we've got so much more to talk about. But we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Epic and Legendary podcast where we're talking with Mallory Mundy today, my good friend, real estate, social media queen, networking coach, social media coach, restaurant entrepreneur. I mean, just absolutely does it everything, crushes everything she does. And we've been talking about her journey all the way from her childhood, her swimming
Oh,
days, back
I
when she was
know.
a swimmer, doing this thing right here, right? And all that good stuff, and some great lessons that we've learned so far. So let's pick up the story. So you had moved to Mississippi, I think it was,
Mhm.
and for a job opportunity for your husband, who is a wonderful person, by the way. I've only met him once, but I see him online all the time. I love his posts. He's so cool about everything. So much fun to watch. But you guys came back to Austin, and that's kind of where we left off. So let's pick it back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So I came back to Austin as a leader in the Southwest Market Center, which sometimes you don't feel qualified, so it's like the imposter syndrome, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do very, very well in this role. And it was COVID, so we
Yeah.
had no idea what the world held at this point,
Mhm.
how to lead a face-to-face business when no one was there, right, was really, really hard. And so I just, you have to put the ego down. You have to just work as hard as you can. And I was doing as much as I could to make an impact in the agents' lives, right? Trying to pick up the phone and call all day long, seeing if they needed anything. So COVID passed. my partners were amazing. Diane Johnson and Jennifer Lewis are just incredible. And then we had the other offices with Melanie and everyone there and Kathy. And it was an incredible place to be at the time, right? And we were learning together on how to navigate this new world we were living in. And on the personal side, in October, my husband Andy got really sick. And so we were trying to figure out what was going on while, working and trying to figure out my new role. And we had a house we're paying for in Hattiesburg because it was not yet sold. And we were renting in Austin, kind of figuring out what our next steps were there. And he goes to the doc in the box, right? Urgent care. And they said, well, it's not COVID. Let's do a chest x-ray. And so we went in for a chest x-ray, and the lady in the front said, we'll give you antibiotics, but you've got a spot in your lung and we need to get this checked out because I can't tell you what it is, but you need to know figure this out. So that scared him enough to go and get a CT scan. And sure enough, there was a golf ball size spot in his lung.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so little worrisome, we're like, what is this? And he's feeling terrible, and not COVID at the time, and the COVID was at its height. And so we had to get in for a biopsy. And that time it was really hard to schedule anything with the doctors. So it was like a month we had to wait. And so I'm in this new role with my amazing partners. We're blowing and going and doing amazing things. We had a record-breaking month in growth in October of that year. So we were busy, and we went in for a biopsy December 9th. And I go in with him, and it was when COVID just took a little dip. So I was allowed in the hospital, which was great, but only one person with the patient. And so we go in, and they wheel him back, and I'm sitting there on my computer just doing work, talking to Allison, who was my assistant at the time. And I all of a sudden just started shaking uncontrollably. And I knew something was wrong. And I called my dad. I said, Dad, something's wrong. He goes, did someone tell you something's wrong? I'm at work. What's going on? And I said, well, no one told me anything. I just feel like something is wrong. He goes, Mallory, that's a little crazy. Go do your work. Stop thinking about it and just, get it done. So the nurse walks in, and I'm sitting behind this curtain in this wing of the hospital, and it's very quiet. And she said, hey, honey, don't be alarmed. We're going to wheel him back. So he's under, right? Anesthesia. And we're going to take him back into the x-ray room and see if we got everything we needed to get, everything's fine. I said, okay, cool. She just said, everything's fine. I'm okay. And I started shaking uncontrollably again. Like, it was the weirdest feeling. I was sick to my stomach. I just didn't know. And no one wheeled anybody by. There was nobody in this wing. And then I started hearing code something going on the microphone. And there was nobody there. And I was the only person in this wing. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, something is wrong. Seriously. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but something is wrong. He said, Mallory, I'm at work. Did anyone tell you something is wrong? And I said, no, but they're screaming code. I can't remember the word. I think it was like code silver or something like that. And he said, well, just hang tight. And if someone tells you something's wrong, call me. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting there, and two nurses walk by, and they cannot see me behind this curtain. And they said, did you hear what happened? And I flung that curtain open, and I said, what happened? And they looked at me, and they started hauling butt down the hallway because they couldn't tell me anything. And so I started freaking out, and the nurse comes back and said, something happened, honey. The doctor is going to come in to tell you. And I said, you are not going to leave me. Please don't leave me. And she said, well, I can't be in here because of COVID. I said, you cannot leave me. Do not leave me. And so that woman sat with me until that doctor walked in, and he told me that something had happened during the routine biopsy. He had an aneurysm in his lung that burst. And so his lung filled up with blood, and they had to figure out where the bleeding was happening, and that he had to go into emergency surgery, and the doctor had to go. And so luckily I wrote everything down because I knew in my panic that I was going to hear what I wanted to hear.
Right.
So I wrote all of these words down, and I called my dad and I said, Dad, something really did happen. And here's what's next. I don't know. And the lady goes, okay, honey, it's time. You can't stay here. And I was like, where do I go? And she was like, I don't know. Go home. And I was like, I can't go home. So I was like, I don't even know where my car is at this point because I am so just freaked out that he's in emergency surgery. And so I think it was 7 hours of them trying to save his life that
Wow.
day. Yeah. And so I robotically got in my car. I drove home. I remember Diane Johnson. I called her and I told her what was happening, and my entire team surrounded me. They were amazing during this time. I called our family. My dad got in his car and started driving to Austin. And I didn't have any news. I didn't know what was going on. And so I went home, I fed my dogs, I went right back to the hospital. I sat in that waiting room for hours, and they came out and they said, he's okay, he's in ICU, and he'll be there for the night. And we'll get you in when we can. And so I called my friend Christy and I said, Christy, I don't know what to expect. And at this point, I have never been in a hospital before. I've never experienced anything like this.
Mhm.
And she said, I want you to be ready for what you're about to see because it's going to be burned in your brain for the rest of your life. And she was like, it's okay. But if you're not used to it, you're going to be really freaked out. And I said, okay. So I walked in. The doctor told me that this doesn't happen. It's not normal. But this aneurysm could have bursted anywhere. And so we're lucky it happened on the table, right? And he was intubated, which I've never seen before, and that still burned to my in my brain, right? And he told me at that point that what was in his lung was cancer, and we're gonna have to figure out next steps. And I stayed in ICU that night until they kicked me out and said, you can't be here all night, but you can come back when we open at 6 in the morning. And I told them, I said, do not wake this man up without me there because I need to be there when he opens his eyes.
Mhm.
So, long story short, my poor husband didn't have any clue what happened, right? And he was all beat up. His lungs are black and blue because they had to find out where, this bleeding was coming from and save his life. We get to go home. We got to go home three days later, and the next week we had to go into surgery where they went in and removed his lung, half of his lung, and talk about faith and talk about, your connection spiritually. The doctor that did that was one of our best friends from New Orleans, her husband's sister. So we had that connection. And they went in, they removed part of his lung. They had to go see if the cancer spread. And Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, we found out he was cancer free. So this happened in the week of two week span. Um, and it was the most traumatic experience I've ever been through. Almost losing someone that you are so in love with. It's your partner, it's your life, and he's in there helpless, right? So we went through recovery and he had to heal. And that is when everything changed, where we really looked at our life and said, what are we doing? We can sit here in Austin, I can work all day and I can be, this person, but what are we actually doing with our lives? Are we enjoying it? And at that time, he wasn't enjoying his job in Austin and trying to find his path and everything. And we've always wanted to move out to far west Texas where we had land. And he healed. He came out here and healed during COVID because he couldn't be around us. And we decided we were going to invest in a business in Terlingua, Texas, right outside Big Bend National Park. So we looked at different businesses and we saw this pizza shop that was for sale. And he said, let's go look at it. And I said, okay, we can go look. That's fine. And I'm knee deep in work, right? Building this career.
Right. Yeah.
And we walked into this pizza place and I looked at him and he looked at me and I said, oh God, we're doing it, aren't we? And
Yeah.
he looked at me and he said, yep, let's do it. And so I said, okay, we'll put in our offer. And if it works, it works.
Oh my gosh. Well,
So
what an incredible story. And thank goodness he made it through that. And I can't even imagine going through something like that. I mean, that's such a powerful testimony. Thank you for number one for sharing that. I know that's
uh,
not always something easy to talk about. And you know, it it attests to who you are as a person to stay that strong and the power of relationships. Some people are perfectly happy with living their life by themselves throughout and then not having a partner in crime per se, but what a blessing it is to have one. And I can tell that you're extremely grateful for that. And I know you guys love each other very much. I've watched you guys grow and do all these things and support each other. So, so let's talk a little bit about, uh, let's talk a little bit about the Keller Williams. So you were here in Austin. We go through this dramatic experience. You and I actually worked together during that time. We were
mhm,
both at the
sure
same
did.
company. I was a productivity coach for Keller Williams as well, and so we had the opportunity to work together. And prior to that, you said something there too. You said, sometimes we don't believe that we deserve it, or we don't feel like, oh my gosh, is this real pinch me kind of thing?
Yeah.
I had that experience with the Austin Board of Realtors. I was their lead trainer for a while, and I thought that was something that I didn't deserve. And then going from there to Keller Williams. And so I understand that feeling completely. What is probably the biggest lesson you learned in your leadership role here in Austin when you were with Keller, or you still are, but when you were here in Austin, what was probably the biggest lesson or some of the biggest takeaways that you learned from that leadership position?
Yeah, and I loved my role in Keller Williams changed my life. And they changed my life because they put me around people that are so inspiring and doing big things and just people that are good for the soul, right? They also changed my life through the education. And what I learned personally in that leadership role is leadership is not, you don't have to fit inside one box, right? You can be whoever you are, and as long as you're serving people, and that is your true mission is to serve, right? Leadership can look all different types of ways. And I've been around leaders that I've wanted to be like, I've been around leaders I don't want to be like, and you learn from that, and you get to take from different people, and you get to create your own style of leadership. And I feel like if you have the people first, right, in the forefront of your mission, you can really get creative with what type of leader you are. And I always thought I had to be like a certain leader, right? I had to go in and I had to be
Right.
exactly like these people in order to be successful. And after a while, I realized I know what I'm good at. I can stay in my genius zone. I can leverage other people and we can serve these agents in the highest level possible. And
Absolutely.
it's the most important part. And I think that you don't have to feel qualified. You just know that you are qualified if you're given that position and you're qualified for a reason. And someone sees that in you. And
Hmm.
so be yourself, go into it as you, right? And then pick
Hmm.
what you want to be. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to fit in one box.
It's funny you say that. I get asked often, because I'm a coach, right?
Mhm.
And you are too, in what you do. And so I get asked all the time, what are your qualifications? What makes you a coach? Were you a top producer? Were you that person that did, $100 million in closings a year? Were you a platinum top 50 and all this other stuff? And the truth is, I'm not. But if you really look at good coaches throughout history, sports, for example, is the perfect example of this, right? You look at a guy like Bill Belichick, who was
Yeah.
he wasn't a good football player by any means, right? But turned out to be one of the best coaches ever. Or you look at a guy like Pete Carroll in football. You look at all these guys, Greg Popovich in basketball, like
Yeah.
all these coaches that have shaped young people's lives and guided them to the success they have. Doesn't necessarily mean that they were the best at the ability of it, right? But they knew how to bring out the best in people, and they knew how to teach these lessons that we've learned throughout life and getting to the success we want. And you've definitely done that. So we've got a lot that I want to get into before we get into the restaurant. When did the social media coaching and all that? Because I kind of feel like this might have started sometime around the Austin area into where you've moved down now to Terralingua. Tell us a little bit about that venture because you are, first and foremost, if you don't follow Mallory online, you absolutely should. This girl is on fire. I call her the social media queen. I hope you're okay with that. I've given you that name because you absolutely are 100%. Your content is fun. You have some great brands that you represent and things of that nature. And it's just a really good time. I love it when you do your stories and talk about your day. And this is what I did at the restaurant today. And like, it's so much fun. So tell us a little bit about how that all came about, and what your purpose is with that and what that does for you.
Yeah. So I launched Mallory Mundy coaching during COVID because where else were we? At home on social media. And so I wanted to give tips and tricks to people who are struggling with trying to figure out social media, and that grew. And it's something that I'm really passionate about because that's how you get to network. You get to connect with people from all over. It's not just your area, right? You get to explore different places and see different places and learn a lot about the world through social media and meeting different people. And I know TikTok's about to get banned, but TikTok has been an incredible way to learn and connect with different people and make money, which has been an amazing source of income here. But yeah, I just grew through social media, and one day I woke up and I said, okay, it's time to stop scrolling. Let's start monetizing. And so I started building a brand. So I've got my coaching side of it, and then I also have my personal side where I highlight Big Bend National Park, where I live, Terlingua, running restaurants, being an entrepreneur, just all of the ups and downs and the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. I talk about, and I'm really transparent. And I think that was my goal too. I don't want it picture perfect lifestyle on social media because that's just not real.
Right.
I want to show the real lifestyle and what can be attainable, right? If you say yes to opportunities and you're not scared to do it, right? But social media has been a big part of my life, and people come into our restaurant every day because they see my TikToks, and my husband will roll his eyes and laugh, because my TikToks are fun and crazy. But it's a really great way to build a business.
Yeah, and social media is such a powerful tool. What's the and I want to ask you this because I get this question a lot, especially when I'm coaching agents or working with agents, because I'm not the biggest social media guru. You're way better at it than I am, but I'm also not shy in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Neither are you, right? But the biggest thing that I always get from agents is I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like my life. I don't feel like I live anything exciting. I know what to say and I stumble my words. And you guys have been listening to this podcast. I probably said about a million times. That's okay. It's okay to be accepting and have a little grace for yourself. What is your biggest advice for somebody who might be getting started in social media, especially in video with social medias, because that's really powerful with the algorithms and whatnot. What is your biggest advice for them?
Yeah, if you're like that, you're extremely relatable because a lot of us are like that, It just takes time and practice. And I actually posted the first ever video I did back in 2018. It was terrible, and I'm like, oh gosh, you just have to put yourself out there. And the more you talk about being like that, the more relatable you become.
Hmm.
Because most of the people who are on social media scrolling feel the exact same way.
Hmm.
And two, you don't have to be on video. Find your way that you're comfortable with and that you're great at. I listen to Gary Vee almost every day, and he says, if you are a writer, go write. Go write post on LinkedIn
Right.
and Facebook. If you're a video person, get on TikTok, get on
Yeah.
Instagram. If
Yeah.
you are more of a photographer and you like the photos, write a great caption on Instagram.
Yeah.
Uh, find your love for it. But Instagram or social media is not going away, right? That
Yeah.
that's our way of life.
Right.
So if
And
you're in business, you need to be on social media.
absolutely. And I love the way you said that. I think the way to summarize that is to be authentic. And I talk about authenticity all the time. Like we have to be authentic to ourselves. Authentic success is what gets us to what we want. You can't be fake about something. And I know you do the same thing, but what I tell agents is, mix it up. Don't be that salesperson that's on your Instagram saying,
Yeah.
hey, I want you to buy this house or look at this kitchen. You know what I can't stand too, and you may disagree with me, and that's okay. But when they make the post and it's like one kitchen A or kitchen B, which one do you like the most? I'm like, come on, you could find some better photo stocks or stock photos than that, right?
Yeah.
Like, be creative with it and share your neighborhood. Like I tell agents all the time, they're like, well, I don't know what to do for content. Well, number one, we're in Austin, Texas. So if you're listening and you're here in Central Texas, we have an amazing new home inventory and tons of builders with these big shiny objects called homes that are brand spanking new that you can go film, right? And then not only that, but like get out in your community and give back. And like you own a restaurant, you would probably be ecstatic if a content creator came in and said, hey, I just showed up this restaurant today. The service is impeccable. The restaurant's great. The food is great. Everybody's awesome. Like that, you would love that as a business owner. Business owners eat that stuff up. So like be involved in your community and go out there and just be authentic to yourself and mix it up. People want to relate to you, right? They don't want to just see one side of you. They want to see the whole Mallory. They don't want to just
Yeah.
see the business Mallory, the restaurant Mallory, the social media Mallory, the real estate Mallory. They want to see Mallory as a person. And I think that's really, really important. So I love that. So you do social media coaching, and we'll make sure to include all of your contact information. If anybody's out there is listening, is interested in that, we want to promote Mallory. She's fantastic. She comes up with some great content and can help you with all of that stuff. So we appreciate you, Mallory, for doing all of that. So let's go on into our journey. So we're moving out west. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Far West Texas in the
Oh my
middle of,
gosh, in a desert. I mean, okay, listen. I
yeah.
love you, Mal Pal, but you're in the middle of the desert, and I don't know that I could do that. So kudos
Yeah.
to you for it. But let's continue the story here. So a restaurant, right? That's what we're looking at.
Restaurant. So just so you guys know, I'm in far West Texas, extremely remote. My nearest McDonald's is an hour and a half away from me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we have no corporations except for our gas station, which is Airmark, and they run the park too. We have our first Dollar General being built. It's almost done. The town's not happy about it. So that is the remote town that I live in. So yes, we bought a restaurant here in Terlingua, Texas.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So we started coming out here in 2016, fell in love with the place. It's absolutely beautiful. If you're in Austin, Texas, you have no excuse not to come out and visit Big Bend and Marfa and Alpine and just incredible places. It doesn't feel like Texas, but we bought a little pizza place in the middle of nowhere, my little hole in the wall. I am in love with this place. I love being there. It is about a 600 square foot building. And the first thing we went in there is we put TVs up all over the wall.
Gotta have those.
Oh, yes. My husband's a big football fan. Mississippi State, we had to add that all Ole Miss fans will get a 30% upcharge on the menu. So
Oh, yeah.
that causes a lot of contention with some people. We built an outdoor bar because we love being outside, put more TVs up, and we really, I mean, my husband has a restaurant background. I worked in the restaurants, getting older. Never thought I would own one. And it has been one of the most incredible journeys we've ever been on, being able to work with my husband side by side. I do everything front of the house, everything marketing. My husband does all operations of the restaurant. He's absolutely brilliant. We took this little pizza place and we tripled sales in 1 year. And
Wow.
so little investment has grown into be an incredible investment. And it has all 5-star reviews. Our staff is incredible. Everyone's super friendly. Everyone gets along. There's no drama. It's just a place everyone comes in and we all work really, really hard. We're in high pressure situations sometimes and we all get along and it's just a really fun team to be around. So we took that, grew that, and then we invested in a bar in Belize. So we have one in Ambergris Key.
When are we
My
going there? Because I'm all in.
my father-in-law runs that. It's called Coco's Loco Pool and Beach Bar.
Okay, next podcast you come on, we're doing it live from Belize at your
Let's
bar.
do
That's
it.
happening. Okay.
Yes, yes. So it's right
Uh,
on the water. We have a little swim up pool bar. It's another hole in the wall. I'm all about a hole in the wall.
yeah.
So you find something special in these places. And so the people there are phenomenal. So it's been a really fun journey in the restaurant industry and really learning, the ins and outs of uh, profit margins and staffing and what you need, what you don't need, and marketing and different product, right? But you get to be around so many people. And the most fun part about it is I meet people from all over the world that come into that restaurant to eat pizza. We're all communal style, so seating. So you get to sit next to a person you don't know, and then you become friends with that person. So a lot of relationships were built at Long Draw. And we just, we get to serve our community. We get to do fun things for our people in town, and then meet many many tourists.
Yeah. So Long Draw Pizza, you dropped the name. I just want to push it out there to the
Mhm.
listeners. If you're ever out in West Texas, Terlingua area, right? I assume, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you're ever out there, stop by and see Malpal
Mhm.
at Long Draw Pizza. I call her Malpal. I'm sorry. I don't even know where that came from. I think I heard somebody call you that one time and it's just kind of stuck in my head.
It's
So
been a name since I was a kid, so it does not bother me at all.
So you got so much stuff, and we've got one more venture that we're going to talk about. We're going to take a break here in a second, but just to recap everything, okay? Uh, Real estate, and you're still doing all of these things, by the
Oh
way.
yes.
Just want to put this out there. We're still doing all of these things. We are real estate. We're still doing that pretty much full time, right? But more on the leadership side. And then we've got the social media coaching, and you're still doing that stuff as well as tons of other stuff with social media that we probably didn't get to today. And then you've got the restaurant and the bar on top of all of these other things. And we've got one more venture that I want to talk about. We're going to take a break though. But when we come back, we're going to talk about this. And I'm really excited about this because it actually has a big part of what Epic and Legendary is going to be, which I'm really excited about. And so we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with Miss Mallory Mundy. What an incredible podcast, so more. I hope that you're enjoying it and I hope you're getting a lot out of it. I wanted to take just a quick second and explain what Epic and Legendary is because some people just don't know, and that's okay. Yes, it is the name of a company. It is a business coaching and consulting company. It's one that I own. I am a coach, and that is what I get to do for a living. It's such an honor to get to do it every single day. But Epic and Legendary is not just the name of the company, it's an actual lifestyle, and it's what we teach and coach here. It's not just about the mechanics of how you do your business. It's about the mindset and who you have to become. You know, often they say it's not necessarily about the goal, it's about who you have to become in order to achieve the goal. That's what we're doing here at Epic and Legendary. So if you've got some incredible goals or some big goals for 2025, reach out to me and let's have a discussion about coaching, because I promise you, if you want to crush your goals, you're wasting time. Let's get together, let's talk about it, let's create a journey and a path for you to make you the most successful you've ever been in your entire life and step into the greatness that you absolutely 100% deserve. Guys, go forth, be awesome, be epic, be legendary. Let's get back to the show. And welcome back to the Epic and Legendary podcast. We are joined today by Miss Mallory Mundy, who's told us an incredible story, extraordinary things that she has done in her life. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's the Epic and Legendary lifestyle, leaving a legacy, not only for yourself, but those that you love and around you, and just living that epic lifestyle every single day and having fun doing it. So we had a really good conversation today. We talked a lot about your journey and all the different things you do, from real estate to social media to the restaurants and bars, networking guru, all of these things that have ultimately come together. But I want to talk about one last thing, one last venture, because I'm really excited about this. This is a major announcement. Drum roll. Brrr, here we go. All right. Health and wellness is a
Yes.
major part of personal growth. I can't tell you how important it is, because here's the thing, for everybody that's listening out there, if we're not right here and we're not right here, nothing else matters. I don't care how good you are at business. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care if you have a Harvard law degree. If you're not right here and you're not right here and in your body and in your mind, it's just never going to work. You have to be good with those things. And so Mallory and I once again have partnered up, and I'm so excited that Epic and Legendary is now an official ambassador of Shackley, which is a health and wellness product and company that sells some amazing products. Tell us a little bit about Shackley first off, what it is, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do with Epic and Legendary and how to be involved with that.
Absolutely. So about 2 years ago, I started my own health journey. I came from a job where I sat at my desk majority of my day, and I lost 20 pounds when I moved down here because we just don't have everything available to us, right? There's no fast food, one little grocery store. And I then decided to stop drinking alcohol. So I'm 2 years next month, so completely sober. I don't drink, and I started working out very routinely, and I just feel really good. And so I had someone ask me to meet with two people at the end of this past month. And I basically told him, I said, I don't really have time for this. What are we meeting about? He's like, I want you to listen to this opportunity because I think this opportunity would really align with what you're doing now. And I said, okay, I'm always open to listening, right? And when I met my now mentor and one of my friends, and I fell in love with these women, just like I did in real estate. I felt that energy again. And they had moved to this company, Shackley, and it's a health and wellness company that focuses on multivitamins and focuses on wellness products. There's home cleaning products, there's skincare. Everything is beyond organic. So it is tested over 100,000 times annually for contaminants, for quality, just products that you can feel good about. And so I started talking to my friends about it. I have a friend who is a big health nut. I mean, she looks at every ingredient. She looks at the way everything is made. And she said, Mallory, this company is it. Everything is perfect. This is what I can provide for my family. This is what I can tell my friends about. And they had Lyme disease, right? And so they are very particular with what they put in their bodies. And she's on a huge health journey. And so I said yes to this opportunity. So what we're doing is building a team of leaders who want to come in and they want to sell products. They want to enrich their lives with health and wellness, and really just create an opportunity for people to build a business, right? Through this movement that people are jumping on board with, right? wellness is sexy now. Health is sexy. It's just something that everyone's focused on, and you figure out what works for you. And so I said yes to this opportunity, and then you and I had a conversation. I wanted you to come in and coach my team, and I said, wait a second, why don't we partner? And so I'm very excited to see
Yeah.
what this future holds for us,
Mhm.
and the difference we can make in our industries, right?
Yeah.
With healthy
So
products.
I want to talk about that for just a second, but I want to go back and talk about one thing, just real quickly. We talked about you said you're living the sober lifestyle now.
Mhm.
This question comes up quite often, and it's something that it's a personal choice for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But can you just maybe just give us a minute or two of what made you make that decision, what it's done for your life, and why it's so important to you?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to family reunion for Keller Williams, and it was out in LA. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of all of the classes instead of going to the social hours and drinking, like we usually do, and feeling hungover the next day and wanting to go back, take a nap, and do it again. I'm going to not drink, and I'm going to go to all the classes I can, and I'm going to take advantage of what's offered to us. And so I did that, and I would drink a Diet Coke during social hours. I went to bed early and I woke up early, and I felt great. And I got in a cab to the airport when we were leaving, and my friend said, I just made 2 years without drinking. And I was like, oh, I wish I was her. That's awesome. What a badass thing to say, right? And I got home, and my dad said, well, it's Lent. I'm going to give up alcohol. You want to do it with me? And I said, yeah, we'll just keep it going. By the end of Lent, I started feeling really good. And I said, well, let's just keep it going. I'm too busy to even, be hungover or drink. And so I made 6 months, and I felt like a new human. I can't tell you, my mind was clear, my body felt good, my decision making was just impeccable at that time. Um, and I decided that's it. This just doesn't serve me anymore. I'm just gonna not drink, and I can still have fun. I can still be me and still be social, right?
Mhm.
And just not drink. And by the time I hit 1 year, I knew that was my decision forever. And so it wasn't that I went in it because I thought I had a problem or anything like that. It was just a decision that I made on a whim. And I always say, I'm not going to drink today. I don't know about tomorrow, but today is not the day. And that's what's been going for 2 years almost.
That's first off, that's incredible. And, I just want to say this, everybody kind of has their own opinion about it and whatnot. And I'm so glad that you found the benefits in it. It sounds like it served you really well in health and
Yeah,
wellness.
yeah,
And that's such an amazing thing. And again, all of those lessons that you've learned throughout your career with being consistent and being disciplined, and all these different things, look where it's led you to.
yeah, yeah.
So I've
I'm
watched you go through this journey, and I have to say it's absolutely remarkable.
I'm a big believer in doing things you want to do. And a lot of people say, how are you going to have time for that? Well, I make time. I'm very scheduled. I'm very time blocked for everything that I do because I give 110% to everything.
Mhm.
When I quit drinking, I realized I could get 10 times more done. And I lived life. I started hiking. I started traveling more because I wouldn't do that when I was hungover. And my anxiety was terrible when I was drinking. My mental health was just, in the trash. And I don't judge anyone who drinks. I own bars. So it's just what serves you the best,
Yeah,
right? And you have to make that
yeah,
decision for you and nobody else. And you say, I want to quit drinking. You have to want it for yourself. No one
sure.
can make you stop doing it. And just like your health, if you know you need to work out, you've got to do it for you,
Yeah,
nobody else. And when you fix that portion, and you always say this, when you're on a plane, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And I use that because of you.
yeah,
Just like your health and
yeah,
wellness, before you go build a big business, you can't do it unhealthy because
yeah,
something is going to happen.
yeah,
Just like the day I was sitting in the hospital with my husband, that rocked our world. That stops everything. Health
sure.
is number one.
Yeah.
So when you go in and you have to say yes to something or you have to say no to something, do it for you, nobody else,
Mhm.
and start from there. You got to
I
start
love that.
deep.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. Yeah. And in full disclosure, I got that oxygen mask thing from Tony Robbins. So for all
I use
credit
it
to
all the
the
time. I use
yeah,
it all the
all
time.
credit to Big Tony on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. We have to take care of ourselves before we can help others. Because if we don't, have the nutrients and oxygen that we need. How are we supposed to do that? I love that, and thank you for bringing that up. So let's go back to Shackley real quick. So I'm excited about this because Epic and Legendary obviously is a lifestyle that we're coaching here to our clients, which by the way we'll talk about at the very end after we get done with our conversation. But health and wellness, obviously a big part of that. And I had been looking for quite a while for a health and wellness component to include in our program here at Epic and Legendary. And when you and I talked about this, I thought, man, what a great fit this is. I did a lot of research on the product. And just like you said, you had somebody that kind of came in and verified what an awesome product it is. I've had the same thing. And so I'm really, really impressed with what they offer. Not only that, and we will be able to provide it, but if this is something that maybe you want to take on as a side job, there's some opportunity to make some money in that as well. We can help you with that here at Epic and Legendary too. So any last words that you'd like to talk about, Shackley, just real quickly, and then we're going to start to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think, with that, you can either come in and try the products, which, we can get a link to you, different products to try. I love the collagen. I love the protein shakes. I love the skincare. I mean, all of it's just phenomenal. But if you're really craving a community of people, you've got the coaching, you've got the mentorship, you've got the opportunity and the platform to make money. This is a really great opportunity. And we'd love to chat with you. And I'm happy to jump on a call, personal coaching call with you and really talk business and strategy. And I'm always open to meeting new people. So definitely reach out
Absolutely.
if you're interested.
We're going to take like about a 10-second break, and then we're going to come back and wrap this whole thing up with Mallory Mundy on the Epic and Legendary podcast. We'll be right back. Epic and Legendary is so honored to partner with Shackley, an amazing health and wellness company providing incredible vitamins and nutrients, skincare products, house cleaning products, all of these things that are truly extremely organic that will bring positivity to your life. Health and wellness is such a huge foundation of personal growth. And if we're not right here and here, the business part, it just never works. So if you're interested in Shackley, head over to my website at theepicandlegendary.com. Click on the Shackley tab up at the top. That'll bring you to this page where you can then click over to the store and see all the different products that are there. And if you have questions, just reach out to us. There's also opportunities if you'd like to be an ambassador, maybe making a little extra money on the side as well. So reach out to us right now. Now, go forth, be awesome, be epic, be legendary. Let's get back to the podcast. And welcome back to the Epic and Legendary podcast with Miss Mallory Mundy today, guys. What an incredible story you have. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you what it means to have you share your story with us and all of your successes, as well as all the struggles that you've been through. Adversity leads to this amazing life. We have to encounter it throughout life. We have to encounter failures. We have to encounter all of these things to get to this perfect life that we have. So I want to wrap things up with a couple of things, and then I'm just going to say what they are, and then I'll let you have the floor, and then we'll close it out. First off, what's in the future for Mallory? Give us a brief summary of that, and then any advice that you want to leave our listeners with, or any thing encouraging that you might want to say to give them hope. Remember, this is ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and testimony is such a powerful thing. So I'd love for you to share that. And then if you have any contact information, or you want people to be able to contact you for your coaching, or if you want to give let's give the restaurant and all that kind of stuff a shout out as well. Let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next? What's happening? Andy and I, my husband, we're going to focus on our investments here in Terlingua. We just bought a lot. We're about to build a house. So we're excited about that, focused on the restaurants and growing those. Real estate's always been my passion. And so I will be in real estate, coaching and consulting and growing. And then really focusing on this team that we're building with Shackley. My goal is to get this team selling to $1 billion in sales. So it's a big goal. I've got big mentors. I've got a lot of people in place to help us do that. So if you are interested in a huge opportunity, reach out to me. But a big piece of advice, for me and a lesson that I've learned throughout doing a lot of things in my life is find a way to make money and find a way to be happy. And that's all that matters, right? You've got to afford your lifestyle, but you got to be happy. And it doesn't have to look any certain way. I live out in the middle of nowhere on the border of Mexico and Big Bend National Park, and that's my happiness, right? And people, are happy for me living out my dream just as I am as other people. So find a way to be happy, find a way to make money, and life gets a lot better from there.
I love that. So true. And
Yeah.
I just got to say this before we close out. Money doesn't always solve problems. In fact, it adds more problems. So if you're thinking about going out there and getting rich, that's just going to solve all your problems. I can assure you, all you're doing is just adding more problems to your plate. It's about finding your happiness, and I'm just so excited. So Mallory, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. Thank you for everything that you do. I'm incredibly grateful to have you as a friend, as a business partner, and I cannot wait to see what's in the future for you. I know, it's funny, you've come a long ways, but I have a feeling you're just getting started. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And you are living that epic and legendary lifestyle, girl. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming, guys. That's been the Epic and Legendary Podcast. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Holy smokes, guys. What an incredible podcast. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I learned a lot of stuff, took a lot of notes. I hope you did as well. Guys, what an incredible hour this has been. I can't thank Mallory enough for taking the time to be with us today and all of her, share her testimony, her story, her vulnerability, and all the lessons that she's learned and advice that she gives. Hopefully it did something for you or inspired you in some form, fashion, or way. That's what this podcast is all about. Ordinary people who do extraordinary things. Guys, living that epic and legendary lifestyle. So a couple of things just to wrap up real quick. You probably heard me talk about it during the podcast, during the breaks, but if you're interested in being a sponsor for our podcast, we are looking for sponsorships right now. Give you some advertisement time, some camera time, some FaceTime to be able to promote your company. If you're living that epic and legendary lifestyle, we want to talk to you. Also, too, if you're interested in being a guest, we'd love you. We've got a bunch of guests that are already lined up, but we're looking to book all the way through 2025. So if you're interested in coming on the show, you've got a story to tell, we want to talk to you. So reach out to us about that as well. And then last but not least, guys, this is not just a podcast. It's not just the name of a company, Business Coaching Consultant. This is what we do. So if you're interested in coaching and you want to crush your goals in 2025, reach out to me today. Do not wait. I promise you it's costing you money and greatness and success and everything that you're doing. So now is the time. I'm giving away free 45-minute coaching consultations to determine where you are and what you need so that we can create that perfect pathway and that perfect journey for you crushing it in 2025. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. I cannot thank you enough for all the support throughout the years. We're just getting started. This is just the first episode. Episode 2 will be dropping very soon. I'll give the dates on that and times and when you can expect that very shortly. But until then, guys, go forth. Be awesome, be epic, be legendary. Big Country out.